Coming up, Nikola Jokic goes for 60, 10, and 10 in a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Russell Westbrook chokes away the game with two costly mistakes. How much can you really blame him? Plus, all of the madness from a wild heartbreaker of a loss for the Nuggets. Coming up on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day for the good and the bad. We're here for you. We're here for the good times and the bad. You can catch it. Thanks for being an everydayer, joining us Monday through Friday, being with us. It's 2 a.m. and the chat is bumping. I can't believe you sickos that stayed up to talk about this game, including Himyas, who says, Matt, I can't sleep. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. I want to go to sleep very badly, but there's no way we couldn't do a show after that one. It's 2 a.m. as I record this here in Denver, here in Northern Colorado. If you're catching this on Wednesday morning, thanks for joining us on the podcast version, and make sure to hit the like and subscribe. Go check out youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. Hit the like and subscribe button as the season continues. Okay. Today's show, we'll talk about Wolves game. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to talk about the Wolves game. There's nothing else we can do. Just got to talk about it. All right. The story of the game is the Russell Westbrook mistakes. The biggest thing is like Nikola Jokic's otherworldly performance, playing 40 straight minutes, scoring 61 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, just 4 turnovers in 52 minutes and 38 seconds of play. He had 4 turnovers in 52 minutes and 38 seconds of play. He shot 18 of 29 from the field. He had 61 points on 29 shots because he got to the line for 19 of 24. Yoke, like I was at the Blazers game where they lost the quadruple overtime or whatever, and he played like 63 minutes. And I've always known that his endurance was crazy. Like he outran Davis 2 years ago in the title run, and that was like the first time everyone was like, "Oh, like I thought he was just like this kind of fat dude," and then it was like, no, like he's genuinely made of a different kind of motor. Jokic's performance playing 40 straight minutes, and I want to be clear on this. Malone asked him, like, hey, like, try to talk him into going out several times. And Jokic said, no, I feel good. I'm good. Just, I want to stay in. That's your superstar. Like, that's your guy. Is the guy that in a game that would have dropped their magic number to 2, played 40 minutes straight and 53 minutes overall to try and get them a win. There is nothing more that Nikola Jokic could have done to get them a win. He could not have played better. He could not have played harder. He left his entire body and soul on that court. And then after the game was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I play tomorrow or not, because he's a psycho. It was a really awe-inspiring, and without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, a really admirable performance. On top of just like, look, some guys put up 60 or I don't know, theoretically 70 versus like lottery teams, and they just dominate those teams that can't compete with them because they're so physically overmatched, right? Theoretically. And they do so in like 37, like a random number, like 37 minutes is what they're able to do that in. But like Yoke went up against an elite defense with so much physicality, with one of the best interior defenders the game has ever seen. And he dropped 61 points in 52 and a half minutes. It was an awe-inspiring performance. It was so incredible, and he deserved the win. He did not get it. Now, this is where we talk about this. Chill and Fluent Fanboy says Malone's job is not safe. I will tell you that right now, that's not true. His job is absolutely safe right now. He may not be after the playoffs, but this game does not change that. Let's talk Russ. So And we'll have to come back to this. As a fan, you should be livid that he missed the layup. The question in evaluating this, if we want to go deeper than just player missed layup, rah, we'll get to the foul. If you want to go deeper than that, because this is the podcast, and I can't just be like, missed the layup, rah, that's boring, that's bad content. And it's not the way that I think about these things. The question is there a decision that he made that was wrong? Is the decision that he made wrong? And I will tell you this is the players were discussing it, and this is off record, so I'm not going to name who was saying this, but I will say it was a consensus. Every single player said that Russ should have taken that layup. Every single player. Not on record where they have to say the right thing. They had anonymity, and I will tell you, they believed wholeheartedly, that locker room believed it was the right decision for him to take that layup. So the decision was right. Instead of pulling it out and burning clock and getting fouled, where he could have missed the free throws, there's a number of things, like who knows what happens. The decision was like very firm that he should have taken that layup. And the comments after the game were authentic, in my opinion, from both Michael Malone and Nikola Jokic. Because Michael Malone said, I feel awful for Russ. He knows what he cost him. He's a perfectionist. He knows how he cost him. And Jokic was asked about, is he going to speak to Russ? And he said, why? Like, he was like, why? It's a basketball play. It happens. He had an open layup. He took it. He missed it. That happens. That's what happened. Now we'll get to the foul. We'll get to the foul coming up. Because I will just be honest with you. Longtime fans of the show will know that I am not someone that engages in very easy content that would get me lots of likes if I was just like, the Nuggets get such a terrible whistle and all the officials hate them and blah, blah, blah. That's easy, but I can't do that because it's just not who I am. It's inauthentic for me to just do that. I will tell you about how I feel about that call here in a little bit. The problem I have is that Russell Westbrook is the guy that misses that layup. And that sucks in all sorts of ways. It sucks for Denver because they wanted it for it to be different for him and for them. They need somebody that can make those kind of plays, that creates a steal in that type of situation. And Russ works so hard to be great, but this is who he is. The basketball gods have determined that he's the guy that misses that layup. That's who he is. Steph Curry's the guy that just chucks it up from 50 feet and it goes in. Russell Westbrook's the guy that mixes that layup. That's who he is, and that sucks. But that's who he is. Now you can say, and that's why he shouldn't have played. We'll get to that coming up as well. On the other side, we'll talk about the foul. The foul. And I'm going to go off a little bit, and then we're going to talk about the decision about why it is that he played and about the differences for you as a fan versus the differences for you as somebody that wants to understand the team. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. What a tough loss. Baseball season's in full swing. There's no better way to get on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you just pick more or less for at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. Hope you said more on all of Jokic's point things tonight. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us here on Wednesday, when I know you're probably bleary-eyed and very much just hate the world as a Nuggets fan. Okay. So the foul is a lot simpler. You don't call that foul. That's a garbage foul to call. That game was a classic. That game was amazing. All year long, the NBA's heard about how the product is bad and the games aren't good and the players don't try. And you get this gem of a game. This absolute beautiful dish created by the basketball gods and Jokic and Ant. Two absolute titans going head to head. Ant with a terrible first half and then just takes over in the fourth quarter. Jokic battling back, playing 40 minutes straight. It is phenomenal. Big play after big play after big play. And all of it sets up, and you decide it on that piece of foul. That's what you decide this game on? Who wants that call made? I know some nerd friends who are like, well, actually, if it is a foul, it should always be called. I don't care. This is an entertainment product, and it is a competitive sport. Let the competitors decide. Do not call a foul on a contest after the ball is gone with 0.1 seconds left. After you were too, by the way, chicken shit, to make a call on an out-of-bounds call so that when you call jump ball, it can't be reviewed. There are 700 stoppages in the NBA game, and you can't review that one? But you're going to make that call. Russell Westbrook made a desperation closeout in a wild sequence at the end off of a double team to try and recover and make a play, to try and disrupt a good shooter from knocking down a game winner. That call should never have been made. That is not how it should have happened. Now, so I don't blame Russ for making the decision to close out that way. I don't care if he speared Nickeil Alexander-Walker into the third row. That call should not have been made. The decision to shoot the layup was right. He missed it. I don't know what the answer is there. You have to shoot it. You have to shoot the layup. I don't have confidence he's going to make it. You have to make it. That's the answer. You have to make the layup. Like, you just have to make the layup. And he didn't. And he lost in the game. And then after the game, he left before media was allowed to speak to him. Like, he left before the locker room even opened to us. And that was disappointing because I think if there's any situation in which Russ is going to... Now, Russ, I will make very clear on this. If Russ is not told by PR that he's going to podium that night, Russ leaves before we get in there. He's done that the entire season. He does not speak to us in the locker room. Now, I'm not going to get into, like, the rules about what the NBA requires. Like, the NBA can sort that out of Russell Westbrook if they want more Russ quotes. That's their decision. What I will tell you is that, like, we obviously wanted to speak to the man accountable for the loss, and we're not provided that opportunity, and I think that's a bad decision by him, but who cares what I think? Except y'all. That said, when Malone says, I feel awful for him, he's being genuine. And somebody said he would never do that for Jalen Pickett. No, I'm telling you, he would. No matter, these things aren't binary. Malone lives with these people. These guys live together, man. Like, you live with these people for 6 months. You're with them every day. Buses and plane rides and arena and locker rooms and the good times, the bad, and all of it, and team dinners. He knows Jalen. And if Jalen had made those mistakes, he would have defended him. The best basketball decision in this game was late in the game was for Jalen Pickett to close. That was the best basketball decision. I genuinely think Jalen Pickett can be a playoff player. I think his composure and confidence has shown that he does not get rattled, or at least doesn't getting rattled anymore, and he has the ability to step up in those moments. I think he should have closed. I think Russ is in a place where he gets so amped up, and the decisions have been bad for 2 months now. It's been bad. And this is why, even when things were great, I was never willing to be like, yep, like, take a victory lap ever for the Nuggets. Because I always knew that, like, this was probably going to happen, and it sucks. I hate that this is the story. Like, Russell Westbrook deserves better for what he's given the game of basketball. For all of the hate, for all of the ways that Russell Westbrook is controversial and a villain to so many, and that so many people, especially Lakers fans, pile on him, Russell Westbrook has never done anything off court to elicit any sort of concern, legal or perception wise. He's never, ever been in trouble on any of those kind of things. He has conducted himself as a positive force in the community. He's been a great leader and locker room guy that teammates have raved about after he's been there. He has given as much to the game as you can. You may not agree with his decision making in taking jump shots or making layups, but he does things the right way as a basketball player and as a member of the NBA. And it sucks that this is going to be his legacy, but it is, and that's the reality. And all of those things play into the decision of why, like, this is why it was a very complicated decision to give him the spot, but they gave him this spot and convinced him to join Denver. And part of that decision-making process comes with an implicit level of trust to not only Russell Westbrook, but all future free agents for the Denver Nuggets, that you will not get benched for a second-year, second-round pick that has barely played, that you would close in this type of game. The NBA is a game of politics. And if you do not believe that, I don't know what to tell you. I wish that it was like fans think, where it's like the best players play. And if you play well in the games, then you play more because you played well in the games. That is not how this works, man. It's not how this works. There are layers and levels, and you don't have to agree with that. You could be livid that that's the way the NBA is, but I'm stuck in a position of having to tell you Russell Westbrook was always going to close this game. There was no other decision. And furthermore, as much as you may disagree with Michael Malone's assessment of that, that is what the other veterans on that team would have wanted too. That is the decision they would have wanted. They would not have wanted another decision. Grace says, I don't know, Matt. Tyus Jones was promised a starting spot, and he's not even playing anymore. Tyus Jones is not Russell Westbrook, Grace. I don't know what to tell you. Do you think the Suns look at Tyus Jones the way that the other Nuggets look at Russell Westbrook? Because they do not. So I'm not going to sit here and defend it because he should have made the layup. You got to make that layup, man. You got to make that layup. You absolutely got to make the layup. I'm not going to kill him for the foul. That foul should never have been called. That's a ridiculous call in that moment. That is an absolutely pathetic call by that officiating crew. It's tough. Well, so here's the thing. So Chill and Fun Guy is like playing with the highest IQ guy in the league and have the lowest IQ. There was nothing low IQ about what Russ did. Nothing. There was nothing low IQ about Russ did tonight. No, I'm sorry. That's not correct. There was nothing low IQ about the sequences that you actually care about. Taking that layup was the right call. Contesting that shot was the right call. Neither worked out. That's basketball. That's what Jokic said. And if most of you think that Jokic is infallible, he's the highest IQ guy, right? Like, you think he's the highest IQ? If he's the highest IQ guy, and he is, if he's the highest IQ guy and he says that's basketball, he did the right thing, then maybe you should reconsider it. Maybe that's a reason to kind of consider it. You can't pick and choose. You can't be like Jokic is infallible and Jokic backs Russ, and that was wrong. Can't be both. I'm not defending Russell Westbrook here because he's got to make that layup. But I think the process of how it happens is part of the conversation, part of the talking point. Why would Jokic be negative towards teammates? Why would fans be negative towards their own players the way that so many Nuggets fans are this year? Look, Himia says the turnovers are bad, Matt. 100%. Like, when we get into like the rest of this game, like the 4-hour epic of this game, absolutely. He was terrible. He was bad. He was just bad. He made some plays in the fourth quarter, I thought, that were better. They survived his minutes reasonably well in this game. They were -5. At one point, they were like -4 or -11, I think, with Russ on the floor, and he was on the floor for some of the good parts. I didn't think he contributed all that much. Again, I thought Jalen Pickett should have closed this game. From a basketball perspective, I thought Jalen would have given them a better chance to win. But yeah, like, look, this is who Russ is, right? Like, he's going to shoot these shots that are not going to go in. He's going to take ill-advised attempts. There's going to be these type of sequences. And he's also going to do things like create the steal. Like, him creating the steal and then missing the layup, it's like the most Russell Westbrook thing ever. It just is. It's just the most Russell Westbrook thing ever. Majestic Europe says Russell had a normally bad game. He just had a terrible 10 seconds. Can happen to anyone. Yeah, and like this was tough, but the problem is like I will understand that it's compounded because it's like when Russ makes any mistake, it's not like Russ never does anything quiet, man. Like every mistake that Russ makes, every shot that doesn't seem like it's in his shot profile that he misses seems like the loudest clang imaginable. Every bad pass that he throws seems like the worst possible decision you could ever make. Like everything with Russ is always as loud as it can possibly be, which is why he's so divisive. I have a hard time because how do you move past that to try and analyze him normally? Aaron Gordon missed shots. Aaron Gordon takes some bad shots sometimes. Christian Brown missed some really big shots tonight late in the fourth quarter. He missed some corner threes that were absolutely massive. Christian was great overall because he's always great. His finish, three of Christian's finishes tonight were insane. There were so many things that were absolutely incredible. Dribble the ball out, don't rush a layup. Everyone knows that. No, I'm telling you straight up 100%, like you're wrong. Like you're wrong. You're wrong. The professional basketball players are telling you you're wrong. You don't believe me? Ask Katie Wingy, who agrees. You don't want to trust me? Fine, go ask Katie Wingy. I'm telling you, 100%, you take the layup. You're mad because he missed it, and you should be. He missed the layup. You can't miss that layup. But that's the problem here. Don't act like when you do this, when it's in hindsight, it's bad process. Have better process than that. Be smarter than that. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about some of the other things that happened in this game because there was like 700 things, including some really good defensive adjustments. I thought from Malone on Anthony Edwards after he got going. A really great sequence I want to talk about with Jalen Pickett and some other things that happened tonight in a very, very, very noteworthy and incredible game coming up on Locked On Nuggets. You ever check into your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us here on a Wednesday. Whew, what a game. What a freaking game. All right. So, and I'm telling you, Jamal does not hold on to the ball. I don't. You're arguing with professional basketball players here. Like like I would not do that, and I analyze the game for a living. I would not be like, no, you're wrong, Christian, who said this at the podium. Like come on, man. Like think about this. Really think about this before you start thinking that you know better. Because like my job is to come on here and act like I know better, and I know I don't know better. There was a sequence in the fourth quarter where Jalen Pickett was guarding Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert. They spent two different possessions putting him on Gobert and Randle. And the Wolves offense ground to a complete halt, and it was fascinating. Pickett's ability to guard bigger bodies because of #BootyBall, shout out Adam Mares, was really interesting there. And it genuinely, like, I thought that was like a fascinating twist that they were not sure of what to do with Julian defensively because it was like, we can't really post him up because he's big and Rudy's not a post-up player and we can't go around him. And that's what Julius wants to do. Julius was great tonight. Can't go around him because he's got guard feet. It was really interesting to see Julian kind of mess things up with his positional versatility, which is something Denver has honestly kind of needed. Aaron Gordon, by the way, in the second half of this game was sensational defensively. He made so many plays. Peyton Watson made so many plays tonight. Like this was an instant classic ball game. And Denver had a lot of chances to win. They got killed on the offensive glass, and Joker was part of that, but I will give him a break since he had 60 points and 10 rebounds and 10 assists in 53 minutes and played 40 minutes straight. It was absolutely incredible. There was so much that happened in this game. I don't like it when when I say the words naked double, it does not sound appropriate, but that's what like I've heard it referred to as is like a naked double. And that's like the Nuggets have done this a little bit, where they just send like an open double towards a guy, double team, a straight double team, no pick and roll, just a double team. I tend to think that this is a bad idea because I don't think the Nuggets can rotate well enough out of it to cover up for how easy that is to make. But they timed their doubles very well in the late fourth quarter versus Ant to force overtime and in overtime. Like that's why they were able to force double OT to put themselves in a position to win this game. If, you know, they hadn't called an absolutely abysmal, unbelievably terrible foul. So some of that defensive scheme was actually really well executed. I thought Christian, Peyton, and Russ actually did a really good job with the timing of their double teams. I thought that was really good. That was absolutely terrific. Randall, I mean, I want to say like Randall's still a problem here. 26 points, 11 to 22 shooting, 9 boards, 7 assists. Randall was great in this game. He's a +1 in a game that they won very narrowly. And was a +8. That tracks. Conley was a -22. They did a really good job on Mike Conley tonight, which I thought was really interesting. I actually asked Malone about that pregame about how important it is to actually kind of take Conley away because Conley was a huge difference maker in that playoff series. Peyton was terrific tonight. He was a -11, and I know that he missed a bunch of shots, but the 4 blocks that he had, he just made all of the right plays, I think. I thought he played really well in this game. A person that did not is Ignaji, who was -17 in 11 minutes of play. So there was kind of this idea of it's always just hilarious to me. So he plays DJ in the first half, and DJ was like, not great, not terrible, I thought. DJ winds up like a -3 in 5 minutes. And like the comments are like, how can they possibly like, why is Malone playing DJ? This is terrible. Get Zeke in there. And then they get Zeke in there and it's like way worse. It's just absolute disaster. By the way, he was terrible at power forward too, which is a concern because that was supposed to be the thing that covered for him. Not good. Not good. Oh, they want the bench points read. Hey, you wrote something that wasn't about Russell Westbrook. Good job, Fluent. So Russ had 12 points off the bench. DeAndre Jordan had 2. That's the entire bench for the Nuggets. The reason I find this confusing, 2 things here. One, I find this confusing because, well, yeah, guys, like the bench is going to, like they were missing Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, 2 starters. So Peyton Watson and Jalen Pickett both started this game, and Jalen played 32 minutes. So 2 major bench contributors, theoretically, were starting. What are we talking about here? Meanwhile, for the Timberwolves, who are without Naz Reid, who are without Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker continues to be the absolute demon against the Denver Nuggets. He had 26 points on 8 of 16 shooting, 5 of 11 from 3, including the game winner free throws. Josh Minott, who I love. I loved him in the draft. I loved him in Summer League. I'm a big Josh Minott guy. He had 10 points and was a +14 in his 12 minutes. Like those 12 minutes decided the game. Think about that. The Nuggets won this game and were +15 or whatever. +17, +17. No, +15 in the minutes in which Josh Minott did not play. So over the course of the other, 48, 53, 58 minus, I'm doing the math. It's very late. 41 minutes of this ball game, the Nuggets were +15. They just lost the 12 minutes Josh Minott played. Big Honey, God, the T-Wolves role players always go off on us. So this is interesting. Jay-Z says, "Wow, y'all can't do nothing with the Wolves. Why is that?" Oh, it's a Lakers fan. Hey, Lakers fan. Glad you got something better to do with your time. So, Jokic had a really interesting comment about this after the game. I actually wanted to get his thoughts on it because Jokic is so matter-of-fact about everything, and he's just like, yeah, it's a different game, and these are different games, and the play, he's very matter-of-fact, and he dismisses almost everything. And so I was like, hey, there's kind of this idea you can't beat the Wolves because they've won 6 straight against you, and even though this was a 7-game series last year with you up 20, and he was like, it's so different in the playoffs. And he was like, look, they're a great team. Give them a lot of credit. That's a great team over there. But we're a good team too. They can definitely win. Don't want to get that. He said, I don't want to get that twisted. They can definitely win a playoff series. We can beat them too. And like, he was matter of fact about it. And like, I'll just tell you that having covered Jokic this long, I do have a sense of like how his mood progresses over the course of a year. And you're entering into a part where I think Jokic starts to come alive a little bit. Like, I actually think Jokic was really like, I think Jokic had fun tonight. He's exhausted. The players after the game in the locker room, not including Russell Westbrook, who walked out before we got in there, were really in disbelief. It wasn't like really heartbreak. Like, I've been in rooms that were just like solemn, where it's just like, that was like terrible. It was more of just like, what just happened? Like, how? Because of the sequence that happened. So this is interesting. Someone who played basketball as long as Russ should never miss that kind of shots. Okay. Yoke missed a clutch free throw. Guys miss shots. It happens. Like, I never know what to do with shooting, because I'm just like, shooting is the one thing you can't. Michael Porter Jr. said this the other day. Forget about what I think. Porter said this the other day, where he's like, I honestly don't know why my shots go in or don't go in. Sometimes he's like, sometimes I can pinpoint, yeah, my form was off, or this was that, or my balance wasn't good. I didn't feel right. He's like, but a lot of times it's just like they go in or they don't. And that's how most players are. Russell shot that layup a million. You know how many? Think about how many layups in Russell Westbrook's career he's made. Like, is he Ben Simmons? No. Think about how many he's made. He missed this one. So was it like he needs to try harder to make it? And that's why I don't know. Like, that's why I get to like the basketball gods have just decided like Russell Westbrook is the guy that misses that one. Steph Curry just gets to dance around and shoot and chuck up threes and they go in. And Russell Westbrook misses that layup. That's like, that is the story the basketball gods have decided. And you can believe that's karma, or you can believe that that's random, or you can believe that that's cruel fate. But that's like the reality of the story. Q-Tip says Russia dunked it, to be honest. He probably does 5 years ago. So that to me is like how it goes. Joker hit 2 clutch free throws to tie the game. Yes, he did. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm not saying that he did everything to, like, I'm just saying he did miss one late. That's the point, right? Russ made an incredibly tough layup, which was like a really key basket. Made an incredible steal late in the game, right? I think I will just tell you, Grace talked about this tonight on Twitter, that the fight that the Nuggets showed, and I kind of agree. And you shouldn't be in a moral victory zone because you're trying to compete for a championship. But I do think this team is trying to find its verve. I think it's trying to find its spirit. And I thought this game was a good step in that direction. And we'll see. Maybe this is the one that breaks them and they just fall apart. Maybe this is the one that like sparks something. Maybe it's just like another game, and we'll see what happens when the playoffs run around. Matt Allen says, you cannot honestly say the ref shouldn't call that when Joker should have fouled out multiple times and then have a foul called on a jump foul. Well, so just so we're clear, that jump ball should have never occurred, because it was clearly out on the Wolves, and the referees made an absolutely just disgusting lack of a call there to call a jump ball. So don't miss me with that, my friend. Take the win, man. Because you're clearly a Wolves fan. Jeez, man. That's going to do it. We'll have more on this tomorrow, I'm sure. Swipe Ryan, the crew. They also play another game tomorrow night. We'll see if they play. I appreciate you guys being with me. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Jokic was amazing. Jokic is the best player in the world. Absolutely incredible performance. Incredible game. If the Nuggets season had gone differently, we'd just be like, God, what a game. Heartbreaker. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. But it feels like the sky is falling because of how the season has gone. We'll see what happens. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. We'll talk to you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.